delighted to have the creator of The X-Files, Chris Carter, here. Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for coming into BT early in the morning.
My pleasure.
So many places we need to go, but you were just telling us a story in the commercial break. Riaz, actually, I'm stealing your question here. The theme song, is it going to stay as is for the reboot, or are you tweaking it a bit?
I'm going to surprise you, but it's kind of sacrilege to change it or to even think about changing it. But that said, we're just looking to mix it up.
Tell the story you just gave us about how you found that sound.
Well, I'd worked with the composer a little bit, and he came up with a few things, and I kind of sent him back to the drawing board. And finally, I gave him a Smiths album called Meat is Murder with a song called How Soon Is Now. And I said, I love the guitars on this song. And he didn't listen to the guitars at all. He heard the whistling at the end of the song, and he said, this is what I want.
And then you have the legacy that is X-Files. And you were here last night for a very special celebration, VIF Industries' celebration of National Canadian Film Day.
Yeah.
You were a pioneer of sorts for local production here in this city. And when you're bringing 6 episodes that you're going to shoot back to Vancouver, you're going to work with the same crews? Do you see a lot of familiar faces from what happened 2 decades ago?
A lot of familiar faces. Going to try to work with a lot of the same people. Some of the people aren't available to work with, but we'll try to put the band back together as much as possible.
Love that. A lot of people say you are that groundbreaker for using Vancouver, and then you got a little bit of a hard time about moving from Vancouver after 5 years down to California. There was sort of a different mood to the show when moving to California. Is that one of the reasons why you're doing the reboot here?
This is the place to do the X-Files, and we left Vancouver because we were all working away from home, and so we really went home again after 5 years. But this is the place for it. It's got the look, it's got the mood and the atmosphere. I call it free atmosphere.
Atmosphere at its height was huge. In 1997, when you had 20 million people tuning in to watch The X-Files, we're really in a golden age of television now. You look at the programs you mentioned, Mad Men, shows like Breaking Bad, Vince Gilligan, a big part of that. He was a writer on X-Files. What do you see now as the measure of success to bring a show like this back, going to conventional networks like Fox? What do you see as the measure of success for X-Files, knowing that the viewership is so segregated now?
Yeah. The measure of success is its ratings, really, and I think it's also how it's received by the critics and the media, and just if we're worthy of the comeback.
So you're getting the band together from a production standpoint. You're getting the band together from a storyline standpoint. Are we continuing on from where we were and being true to all those storylines and?
We're being honest to the passage of time, so the characters will be the age that they are based on the series and the second movie, and we'll continue with their lives, but we have surprises.
We walk to the edge.
Cigarette smoking man's going to be in there?
Yes, he will.
Yeah.
Even though we incinerated him in the series finale.
I was going to say, how does that work then? So well, I guess you can't tell us. Can't wreck it. But okay, so 6 episodes over the idea of perhaps making those 6 episodes into a movie or doing a longer series of shows. Why 6, not 13 or?
It was 6 because everyone's busy, and so everyone has other things to do. So it was 6 was what we could carve out. There's a potential for more, but we have to do this really well first.
Okay, so it could be more than 6.
So what's the trigger to make this a good candidate for resurrection? We're seeing a lot of this. The Odd Couple, Full House coming back.
Yeah.
You know, these were franchises that were big back in the day. What was it for you that said, all right, this is the right time to bring X-Files back?
It was really Fox, and I think it was the actors who drove it a little bit. They wanted to do it. They saw the time was right. But for me as a storyteller, the time is perfect because so much has changed. 13 years have passed. It's a really good time in which to tell X-Files stories.
Where are we in the writing process?
Oh, I've just turned in the first draft of the first script yesterday. So you can imagine everyone is very busy working on that.
Ravenously so.
Yes.
If I may, what's your stance on unidentified flying objects and other beings in our universe?
I'm like Mulder. I want to believe. I'm a skeptic by nature. I'm really more Scully in that sense. But I'm waiting for a visitation myself. They owe me after all this time.
They got to be hovering around you at some point. You've brushed against it so often.
And you've got a great eye for talent. You were just saying in the green room, even though David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson are household names associated with the show, they weren't necessarily the go-tos. You saw something in their capabilities. What was it about both of those two?
They just had the right qualities for the characters I had written. and they came in and nailed it for me. Both of them in the room. Jillian actually gave me the sheets when they first came in to read. I had written little notes next to their names. This was like before we had even gone to the network or the studio. And on one of them I said yes, and the other one I said let's test them. So I knew the moment I met them, I knew.
Are they going to get romantic? Wow, I want to ask so many questions about the storylines, but I know you're going to say, watch. But, okay, so you're also writing with your wife. Tell us a little bit more about that collaboration.
Oh, well, not on this, I'm not, though she's giving me notes right now.
Oh, I see.
She is my best reader and my toughest reader, and I have to say, when she gives me notes, it's really hard. It's really hard to take notes from your loved one. Because the criticism is so, I don't know what it is. It's such a raw situation.
A bit poignant.
Yes.
And with your writers, is Vince Gilligan going to be back in any capacity for the new show?
I had lunch with Vince, asked him to come back. He's busy on Better Call Saul, so
it's a great show.
It is a great show, and but I've got some of the original X-File writers, Glenn Morgan, James Wong, Darren Morgan. So we're really, in that sense, putting the band back together.
And when are we looking at this to be airing?
They tell me early January, but they haven't given us an air date yet.
All right. Well, you come back and let us know and give us a preview. I have so many questions for you. I know you can't answer, but they will be answered in January on Fox. Thank you, Chris Carter, for being here.
Thank you very much.